I've arrived at the beach house just as the storm begins its approach from the Pacific. The drive down Highway 1 was beautiful, winding through coastal forests, glimpses of gray ocean between the trees, the air growing thicker and more alive with each mile closer to the shore. This house sits on a low bluff overlooking the Oregon coast. Not too high, just elevated enough to have a clear view of the beach and endless stretch of ocean beyond. It's a simple structure, weathered with siding that's turned silver gray from years of salt air and wind. The kind of place that's been here long enough to become part of the landscape. I step out of the car and immediately feel the difference in the air. It's heavy with moisture, cool against my skin, carrying that unmistakable scent of the sea. Salt and kelp and something ancient. Something that reminds me that this ocean has been here far longer than any of us and will remain long after we're gone. The wind is picking up. Not violently, not yet, but with purpose. It moves through the beach grass that grows in wild patches around the house, making it bend and sway in synchronized waves. The sound is like whispers, thousands of small voices all speaking at once. I grab my bag from the back seat and walk toward the house. The wooden steps creak slightly under my weight, good solid boards, worn smooth by countless footsteps and seasons of weather. There's something reassuring about that sound. It speaks of durability, of a structure that knows how to withstand what the ocean throws at it. The key turns easily in the lock, and the door swings open to reveal a cozy interior. One main room that serves as living space and kitchen, with large windows facing the ocean. The stone fireplace dominates one wall, already laid with wood and kindling, waiting to be lit. A comfortable couch faces the windows, covered in soft blankets. A small kitchen area with everything needed. And beyond, a bedroom with a view of the sea. But what strikes me most are the windows. They're generous, designed to frame the ocean, to bring the outside in. And right now, they're showing me something magnificent, a storm gathering its strength on the horizon. I set my bag down and walk to the windows. The ocean is transformed from this morning's calm gray to something more dynamic. The waves are building, their tops catching the wind and being torn into spray. The color has deepened, no longer soft gray, but a darker slate, almost pewter, with hints of green in the troughs between waves. The sky is extraordinary. Layers of clouds are moving at different speeds and heights, creating a complex tapestry of grays. Some clouds are light, almost white. Others are dark and heavy with rain. The whole sky seems alive, in motion, preparing for something. I notice the light is changing too. It's afternoon, but the approaching storm is filtering the sunlight, creating this strange, beautiful quality. Dim but not dark, diffused and soft. Everything looks slightly unreal, like a painting where the artist chose muted tones and gentle contrasts. Time to prepare for the evening ahead. I turn my attention to the fireplace, kneeling down to arrange the wood. The kindling catches easily from a long match, and soon small flames are dancing among the logs. The fire will need time to establish itself, to build up a bed of coals that will last through the evening. While the fire grows, I explore the rest of the house. The bedroom has a large bed with a thick comforter, pillows that look cloud soft, and yes, those same generous windows with ocean views. The bathroom is simple, but has everything needed. And in the small kitchen, I find a kettle for tea, mugs, even some local honey in the cupboard. I fill the kettle with water and set it on the stove. While waiting for it to boil, I return to the windows. The storm is closer now. I can see the rain in the distance, a gray curtain connecting sky to sea, moving steadily toward shore. The first drops will arrive soon. The kettle begins to whistle softly. I prepared something herbal and calming, chamomile with a touch of that local honey. The steam rises from the mug, carrying its gentle aroma. I wrap my hands around the ceramic, feeling its warmth. Settling onto the couch, I pull one of the soft blankets over my lap. The fire is crackling nicely now, starting to throw real heat into the room. Outside, the wind is strengthening. The first drops of rain begin to hit the windows, just a few at first, like scouts sent ahead of the main force. And then, the storm arrives. The rain comes all at once, as if someone turned on a faucet in the sky. It drums against the roof in a steady, insistent rhythm. On the windows, drops race downward in chaotic patterns, merging and separating, creating ever-changing streams of water that blur the view outside. But I can still see the ocean, and it's magnificent. The waves have grown substantially. They roll in from deep water, building as they approach the shore, their faces becoming steeper and steeper until finally, inevitably, they break. The sound is powerful, a deep boom as tons of water crash down, followed by the rush and hiss as the foam races up the beach. Wave after wave after wave. The ocean's rhythm is hypnotic. There's a pause between sets, a brief moment of relative calm, and then another series of larger waves marches in. The pattern is ancient and endless. This same dance between ocean and shore has been happening here for millions of years. I sip my tea slowly, feeling the warmth spread through me. The contrast is perfect. The wild storm outside, the cozy safety inside. The fire pops and crackles, adding its voice to the symphony of rain and waves and wind. The windows are starting to fog slightly around the edges from the temperature difference between inside and outside. I could wipe them clear, but there's something pleasant about the effect. It adds to the sense of being in a cocoon, separated from the elements but still connected to them, still able to witness their power. The Oregon coast has always been like this, dramatic and moody and utterly beautiful. Unlike the warmer, sunnier beaches further south, this coastline embraces its storms. The rocks here are dark and jagged, carved by millennia of waves. The beaches are often strewn with driftwood, enormous logs that were once mighty trees in a coastal forest, washed down rivers and deposited by the sea. I think about the people who've lived along this coast over the centuries. The indigenous peoples who knew how to read the ocean, who harvested its bounty while respecting its power. The settlers who established fishing villages and logging camps. The lighthouse keepers who tended their lights through storms far worse than this one, knowing that ships' lives depended on that beacon cutting through the darkness and rain. There are numerous lighthouses along the Oregon coast. Sturdy towers built to withstand whatever the Pacific could throw at them. Some are still functioning, their lights automated now. Others are museums, preserving the history of a time when lighthouse keeping was a vital and often lonely profession. I imagine what it must have been like to be a lighthouse keeper during a storm like this. The isolation, certainly, but also the sense of purpose. Knowing that your vigilance, your willingness to climb those stairs and tend that light no matter how fierce the weather, might mean the difference between a ship finding safe passage or being dashed against the rocks. The rain intensifies, if that's even possible. It's sheeting now, coming down so hard that the individual drops merge into streams. The sound on the roof is almost deafening, but in a way that's oddly soothing. It's consistent, reliable. White noise that wraps around everything else. Outside, visibility has decreased. The ocean is still there, still sending its waves against the shore, but the details are softened by the rain. The horizon has disappeared entirely, sky and sea blending into one continuous gray. I notice that I've been holding my now empty mug for several minutes without realizing it. My mind has drifted into that pleasant state where time becomes fluid, where minutes pass without conscious tracking. It's the storm doing this, its power and persistence creating a kind of meditation. Setting the mug aside, I adjust the blanket and sink deeper into the couch. The fire has matured into a beautiful bed of glowing coals with flames still dancing among the logs. The heat it's throwing is perfect, not too much, just enough to take any chill from the air. Through the rain-streaked windows, I watch the waves continue their eternal work. Each one is slightly different from the last. Some are taller, some broader, some break with more force, some seem to hesitate before crashing down. Yet all are part of the same system, the same pattern. The Pacific Ocean stretches from here all the way to Asia. Thousands upon thousands of miles of open water. The waves hitting this beach right now might have originated from storms far out at sea. Their energy traveling across that vast distance to finally expend itself here, on this particular stretch of Oregon coastline. It's humbling to think about. The scales involved, the distances, the forces, the time. This storm feels significant to me, here in this moment. But to the ocean, it's just another day. Just another expression of its nature. The wind gusts, and the rain momentarily comes even harder, creating a sudden increase in the drumming on the roof. Then it settles back to its previous intensity. The storm is breathing, varying its strength, but maintaining its presence. I realize I'm breathing in sync with it. Slow, deep breaths, in through the nose, feeling the air fill the lungs. Out through slightly parted lips, feeling the body relax even more. The storm's rhythm has become my rhythm. There's nowhere else I need to be. Nothing else I need to do. Just this watching the storm, listening to the rain and waves and wind, feeling the warmth of the fire, existing in this perfect moment of shelter and safety while nature demonstrates its power just beyond these walls. The storm has settled into a steady state now, not lessening exactly, but finding its cruising speed. The rain continues its constant percussion on the roof. The waves maintain their rhythmic assault on the shore. And I'm completely comfortable, completely at peace. I think more about those lighthouse keepers. Their stories fascinate me. Take Tillamook Rock Lighthouse, for example. It sits on a massive rock about a mile offshore from Tillamook Head, further north along the same coastline. They called it Terrible Tilly. Building the lighthouse was an ordeal in itself. Workers had to be lowered onto the rock by derrick because the waves made landing impossible. They spent months drilling and blasting and constructing while being constantly soaked by spray and battered by wind. One worker was swept away by a wave before construction even really began. But they finished it. And for 77 years, from 1879 to 1957, lighthouse keepers lived on that rock, tending the light. Supplies were delivered by boat when conditions allowed, which wasn't often. During bad weather, the keepers could be isolated for weeks. The waves during storms would crash over the entire lighthouse, which stood more than 100 feet above sea level. Water would hammer against the lantern room at the very top. Rocks thrown by the waves would sometimes break the thick glass. The keepers would have to replace it, working in the midst of the storm, because ships needed that light. They kept journals, those lighthouse keepers, records of their days. In reading them, you get a sense of the routine punctuated by moments of terror and wonder. Days of maintenance and watching. Nights of ensuring the light kept turning. Enduring storms, vigilance, repairs, and the knowledge that somewhere out in that chaos, mariners were depending on them. One keeper wrote about a storm where waves broke completely over the lighthouse. Green water, he called it solid water, not spray. It crashed down on the tower with such force that the entire structure shook. Everything inside that wasn't tied down was thrown to the floor. The sound was like thunder, continuous and deafening. Yet they stayed. They did their job, because that's what was required. I'm struck by the contrast with my current experience. I'm watching this storm in complete comfort. Warm, dry, safe. A fire crackling. Soft blankets. The ability to make hot tea whenever I want. The assurance that this house has withstood many such storms and will withstand many more. The lighthouse keepers had much less. Harder beds, basic food, isolation, danger. And yet, reading their journals, there's often a sense of satisfaction. They knew they were doing something important. They were keeping the light burning. They were helping ships find their way home. There's a lesson in that, I think, about purpose and persistence, about doing what needs to be done, regardless of conditions, about finding meaning in service. Outside, a particularly large wave crashes against the shore. Even from here, even through the rain and distance, I can hear the deep boom. The foam rushes up the beach, reaching almost to the base of the bluff. Then it retreats, pulling sand and small stones back with it, preparing for the next wave. The light continues to change. We're moving into evening now, and the natural dimness of the storm is being reinforced by the setting sun somewhere behind those thick clouds. The room is getting darker, the firelight becoming more prominent. I don't turn on any electric lights. The fire provides enough illumination, and besides, there's something right about sitting here in the semi-darkness with just the glow of the flames and the gray light from the windows. The rain sounds different on different surfaces, I notice. On the roof, it's a steady drumming. On the windows, it's more of a splatter and stream. When the wind gusts and drives the rain at an angle, it creates a sudden rush of sound, like someone threw a bucket of water against the glass. And beneath it all, constant and eternal, the waves. That deep rhythm that's been the soundtrack to this coast forever. Boom to rush, hiss, retreat. Boom to rush, hiss, retreat. A heartbeat. The ocean's pulse. I add another log to the fire. It's not really needed. The coals are still glowing hot, but there's something deeply satisfying about tending a fire. It's a connection to our ancestors, to every human who's ever sat by flames and felt their warmth, their light, their primal comfort. The new log catches quickly. Flames wrap around it, finding the pockets of sap and air that make it burn. The light in the room brightens slightly, dancing shadows on the walls. My eyes feel heavy. That good kind of heavy that comes from being truly relaxed. My body has melted into the couch. The blanket over me feels perfectly weighted. Every muscle has released its tension. The storm continues outside. It will probably last through the night and into tomorrow. But I'm not concerned. I have everything I need. Shelter, warmth, safety, and the wild beauty of nature putting on its show just beyond the glass. There's a book on the side table, something about coastal ecology that the house's owner left for guests. But I don't reach for it. I'm content just to sit here, to listen, to watch, to be present with this moment. The waves, the rain, the fire, the slowly darkening evening. All of it together creates this perfect environment for rest, for letting go of whatever tensions or worries were carried in, for simply being. I'll move to the bedroom now. The bed is exactly as welcoming as it looked earlier. The comforter is thick and soft, the sheets are cool and smooth, the pillows are perfect. But before settling in completely, I stand at the bedroom window for a few moments, looking out at the storm-dark evening. Full darkness has arrived. I can't see the ocean anymore, can't distinguish sky from sea. But I know it's there. I can hear it. The waves continue their work, tireless and eternal. The rain on the window is mesmerizing. Drops race downward, catching what little light exists, creating tiny rivers that merge and divide and disappear. It's random and chaotic, yet somehow soothing. Nature's own art, constantly creating and erasing itself. I close the curtains most of the way, leaving just a small gap. Enough to allow the sound in, to maintain that connection to the storm, but creating the sense of enclosure that makes sleep feel safe. Climbing into bed is like being wrapped in a cloud. The mattress yields just enough, supporting without being too soft. The comforter settles over me with perfect weight. I arrange the pillows, one under my head, another I can hug if I want that extra sense of comfort. And then, I just lie there, still, relaxed, listening. The rain on the roof is the dominant sound now. It's steady, consistent, with occasional variations in intensity, but maintaining that core rhythm. Researchers have studied why rain sounds help people sleep. It's partly about white noise, the way the consistent sound masks other noises that might disturb us. But it's also something more primal. Rain meant safety to our ancestors. It meant predators were less active. It meant staying sheltered was the right choice. Our brains still recognize that, still respond to it. The sound of rain activates something deep in our nervous system that says, you're safe, you can rest. Sleep is not only possible, but natural right now. I focus on my breathing, letting it slow and deepen. In through the nose, the cool air filling my lungs. Out through slightly parted lips, feeling the body relax even further with each exhale. My shoulders sink into the mattress. My legs feel heavy and warm. The waves are still audible, but more distant now, muffled by the rain and the walls and the curtains. They're like a bass line in a song, the foundation that everything else builds on. Boom and hiss, boom and hiss. Slower than a heartbeat, but just as regular. Every now and then, the wind gusts, and I hear it moving around the corners of the house, through the beach grass, across the bluff. It's not threatening. The house is solid. But the sound reminds me that I'm right at the edge of things here. The edge of the continent, the edge of the storm, the edge of the wild ocean. My thoughts are starting to drift. Not thinking about anything specific anymore. Just images and feelings flowing through consciousness like those raindrops on the window. Here for a moment, then gone, replaced by others. I think briefly about tomorrow. The storm will probably have passed by then, or at least lessened. The beach will be transformed, new driftwood deposited, the sand rearranged, perhaps treasures washed up from the deep. Mornings after storms are good times for beachcombing. You never know what the ocean might offer. But that's tomorrow. Right now, there's only this. The soft bed, the warm comforter, the rain on the roof, the distant waves, the darkness that's absolute and comforting. My eyes have been closed for a while now. When did that happen? I'm not sure. Time is becoming vague, unimportant. There's just the present moment, stretching out, becoming everything. The rain continues. Steady, reliable. A meditation bell that never stops ringing. My breathing has synchronized with it. Slow in, pull, slow out. Slow in, pull, slow out. Parts of my body are starting to feel far away. My feet, when did they become so distant? My hands, I can barely feel them now. Everything is loosening, letting go, surrendering to the pull of sleep. Somewhere very far away, a wave crashes. The sound reaches me like a memory, like something from a dream. Real but not immediate. Present but not urgent. The rain whispers its endless song on the roof. Drop after drop after drop. Millions of them. Each one part of the storm. Each one separate but connected to all the others. Like thoughts. Like moments. Like breaths. In and out. In and out. The bed is so comfortable. How did anything ever feel this comfortable? The pillow is perfect. The blanket is perfect. The temperature is perfect. Everything is exactly as it should be. The storm rages outside. Inside, all is calm, safe, warm, quiet except for the rain and the distant ocean. My mind is floating now. Not quite awake, not quite asleep. Suspended in that beautiful in-between state where anything is possible and nothing is required. Images drift past. The gray ocean. The rain-streaked windows. The glowing fire. The lighthouse on its rock, beam cutting through the darkness. All of it soft now, dreamlike, blending together. The rain continues. It will rain all night. It will rain into tomorrow. But I won't know. I'll be somewhere else. Somewhere deep and restorative. Somewhere beyond the storm, beyond the waking world. Sleep is very close now. I can feel it. Like a door that's opened. Like a path that's appeared. All I need to do is take one more step. One more breath. One more moment of letting go. The wave, so distant now. The rain, still there, but fading. My breathing, barely perceptible. Everything slowing, becoming still. This beach house, this storm, this perfect moment of shelter and safety. Tomorrow I'll remember it. But tonight I'll just sleep. Deep, peaceful, complete sleep. The ocean keeps its rhythm. The rain keeps its song. And I rest. Under the storm. Safe from the storm. Held by the storm. All is well. All has always been well. All will always be well. The last thought drifts away like rain on water. Sleep arrives like an old friend. And the night, the long, restful night, stretches out ahead. Rain waves, breath, sleep. Rain wave, sleep. Rain, sleep. Sleep.